Why don't we start off today's stream then with this first deck here by UFC. This is a Japan-US air combo deck, I'm calling it. Main reason being is that I think the basic idea of the deck is that you kind of control the board with cheap interaction in the early game, stall out using your tough annoying guard units until you can get down a significant number of planes, and use fighters specifically, and use things like Burst of Fire and or Honor and or Land of the Free to like kill them in one turn. Probably the way most games are going to play out is that you're going to have to deal some damage to their HQ beforehand, attack it once or twice with your fighters beforehand, but then you kind of have this sort of pseudo combo finish with a big attack with the aforementioned cards. So let's just jump into some games and see how we do. One thing to keep in mind is that the format of the past weekend's tournament was a best of 3, where you had to submit 3 deck lists, and you had to, both you and your opponent got to ban one of each of your decks, and then you had to win once with the remaining 2. So just because a deck performed well in that format doesn't necessarily mean it will perform well in the latter. So that's something you want to keep in mind with the games that we're going to be playing today. But still figured to be worth trying these decks out and seeing how we do. Experimentation and exploration of new cards, new strategies, new combinations, I think is always worth doing in a game like this. Good morning, Behemothus. So unfortunately, off to a little bit of a slow start with our deck. We do have interaction for matchups like this in the deck. Unfortunately, we haven't drawn any of them. Perhaps it was a mistake of me to keep the 4-drop in our hand. We did mulligan everything else and just didn't find it. Looks like we might just get run over in this first game here. We'll see if they have a lackluster 4th turn, we might these guards might let us stabilize. Okay, Land of the Free is not bad. If we can get a Burst of Fire to go along with that Land on the Free and the Honor, we can kill them on our turn 8. No, looks like we're just gonna get run over here this game. Morning, Donvids. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, if you look at the stream title, we are trying out some lists from this past weekend's tournament that did from players who performed the best. So we have some deck lists from players who went 7-1 in the past tournament. Or from the tournament this past weekend, brought to you by 983 games. That's it, 983 events. So maybe I'm supposed to just mulligan anything that isn't 3 or less in our opener. The deck lists, you know what? They're not. Let me see if I can find the link to them. They are public deck lists, so I'm sure it's fine to share them with you. Those are the deck lists from all the players. You'll have to go Google like the 893, 983. I don't know why I always mix up the numbers. You'll have to Google their actual tournament page. It's on battlefy.com, and that will show you the you'll get the player list there to see who the top 8 finishers were. They'll be competing this weekend. I'm not sure if that'll be streamed, but hopefully, because that would be neat to see. But just for reference for anyone watching, if you don't feel like looking up the top three persons who had the best record in that tournament, they went 7-1, and those players were Ari, Big Ben, UFC, whose deck we're trying right now, and Doge 34, I believe, are the player names. Do we land of the since we have 2 land of the freeze, should I target this land of the free and just kill this thing before he does something crazy with it, like duplicates it or something? I don't feel like that's unreasonable. Perfect. I'll try to reference both of those links as people join our stream and see, if people ask. It's almost certainly going to be the case. I kind of want to shoot this with a 0. Is that okay? You could also just play the Takasagi and then Desperate Measures to stop them from continuing drawing cards. And then the 0 finishes this off, even though that's not the greatest. I kind of want to do the 0 this turn so we can start applying pressure. But I don't think we're going to win the race anytime soon anyway. Maybe we just do this. Is someone messaging me? Yeah, we're probably just gonna get burned out. So as hard as these hit, we can't quite kill him next turn. If we can get a burst of fire, the game is over. Unless he somehow has a guard unit. I think we're just gonna have to play this out and hope it's good enough, right? No, that won't do because this has Fury. Do we kill... What do we do? We can kill the one and kill the other. Just gotta hope he doesn't have any reach. Hey, Wirtz. The tournament was okay. It was an interesting experience, and I'm glad I tried. I didn't have the best finish. I missed out on top 8, but still a fun experience overall. Does that do it? It doesn't, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're 1 short. So I think I'm supposed to move this to the front line. In fact, maybe I'm supposed to move both to the front line. I could also just pass with 7 credits up and it would play this Tony. Is that what I'm supposed to do? Because I definitely need more threats. This is only a 5/4, so like that's kind of the same thing. Do this, see what happens. This is actually one of the players that I lost to in the tournament, unfortunately. Sure. Like we said, we were a good chance we just get burned out. The deck doesn't seem like it has very good anti-aggro tools considering the current state of the meta, but it did. Our opponents in the tournament did get their desperate measures, which kind of devastated my strategy, and that's kind of how I lost the game and the match as a result. You can actually see those matches on my YouTube channel. Against the US, they're probably ramping. Outflank's probably not great. Desperate measures, in case they're a more aggressively slanted deck. I think I want to keep the rest, perhaps. Zero's pretty good against their air units because it has ambush. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why I was interested in playing the deck, because... And we're playing the deck card for card as is, so... But yeah, it's one of the reasons why I picked it. Not only is it something that it's one of the top performing decks, it's something that I personally lost to in the tournament, and it's different than what a lot of what's out there right now. Kind of want to... So if I Sendai that, he probably just Death from Above and gets his unit back, and then we're in the same situation. Could hit it with Patrol, and then at some point Desperate Measures cleans it up. Or 2 zeros cleans it up. Maybe that's fine. Opponents may be playing a more mid-rangey list, seems. Okay, I'm glad we held on to this Desperate Measures. I think we'll go with this, because next turn we can zero and Desperate Measures to finish this off. He might also just run both of these units into here to get rid of it, but I doubt that. Strategic bombing on that is actually pretty good. I don't mind that. Them getting rid of it. I guess it sort of sucks because now we don't have the same turn that we once did. But then we can do something like this. And start hitting face. Yeah, Japan has some of the most fun air units in the game, so I like, we're just gonna pass because one of our Tonys is gonna get deployed at the end of turn. And if we do that a second time, we won't be able to do it 2 turns in a row, sadly, but, well, that's unfortunate. guess we could... That's 5 damage, huh? And we have a 0 in hand? Okay, so let's do this. Burst of fire. So now, so burst of fire plus this is lethal. So, but we don't, next turn we'll have 10 resources. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if he plays another blocker, we can't burst of fire. I think that's what we need to go for, though. He's lost both Hellcats. He probably can't do 9 damage out of nowhere. Alternatively, I could hit this with the 0. If he kills it with the plane, he'll be in range to die to this Tora. Let's just force him to have another guard unit. I think that's where we want to be. Okay, if he draws like 3+ cards, he's out of range now. Actually, he just needs to draw 2 cards and he's out of range. Yep. So we need Land of the Free helps. Is that enough? Because Land of the Free plus this attacks for 2 and then this is 8, so that's lethal, right? Well, we got to do the thing at least once with this deck, so that's nice. I don't think any of that's good enough. We need to look for our early interaction. Yeah. Do this now before he does something like buff it out of range with a fast Heinz or something. That getting careless talk feels good, especially because it still doesn't get killed by this thing, so he's gonna have to use at least one other full card to get rid of it, and then he's gonna lose yet another. We'll just keep throwing down guard units in the meantime. Like, if this gets from the deep, it just replaces itself, so I'm happy with that. It was like a 1 for none. Like, we replaced our card replaced itself, so that's nice. He's probably holding up missing here, so I'm just gonna pass. Not give him a chance to use his resources. So if he wants to keep holding up missing, he has to... that's interesting. Did he just want to deny us a card draw? Oh, that was silly of me. I should have played this Avenger. That would have been much more resource efficient. Oh well. Well, it looks like we have an opportunity to use an Avenger anyway. So I thought our opponent might be on the aggressive plan, but they're obviously on the... Just throw these both out. They're obviously playing a mid-range list. Mid-range kind of has been hated out of the format, for sure, I would say. The problem with mid-range is that it's traditionally meant to prey on the aggressive decks in this format, but it's no better against the aggressive list than the current crop of control and ramp, which beat the mid-range, so you may as well just be playing ramp and control. That's kind of the reason why I think it's lost its appeal, or it seems to have lost its appeal. So can I kill him from here? No, but I can take away both of his things. I think that's what we're supposed to do. So we can do the same thing as last turn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right? 5, 9. And how much damage is that? That's a lot. How much damage is it? It's a lot of damage. But he could have air defense, so let's try to get him within range first. I think that's what we want to do. Maybe this is a mistake. Maybe I should just go for it. Because then this would have gotten buffed too. It wouldn't have hit him, so it doesn't really matter. Five, 6, 7, 8. He wouldn't quite be dead. He'd be dead to this desperate measures. I feel like if we can play around air defense, we should. Yeah, see, if I had done the math, I would know that I had enough resources to do this anyway, so. Okay, I'm getting what this... I'm picking up what this deck is putting down. I do think it needs more anti-aggro tools, but it definitely has a strong, you know, mid to late game, it seems. We're going to keep the desperate measures for sure. I think we want to cut everything else for now. Maybe special delivery? Nah, I think that's greedy to keep that special delivery. We have an okay series of turns starting next turn. Encirclement's scary, of course, but at least we can do things like this. Then we can play our 61st, I think is more important to play than the Takasagi because it trades with this. And we can play the Takasagi the following turn. It's a lot of damage though. I wonder if this deck needs some amount of naval operation. I feel like naval operation's very strong right now because of all the German aggro. Okay, that's pretty good. It's gonna say we don't have enough resources to desperate measures and play out one of our 4-cost guard units, but we can do that next turn now at least. I'm actually okay with that attack. Those all die to the 3, so yeah, let's do this because it's got enough health to survive one of the hits from those guys. Guess we should be playing this. This plus this kills it, but at least it stalls a little bit. Oh, no more. I don't think Imperial Decree is going to do it. What are we looking for here? I guess another guard, but we're just dead to... This probably kills any guard units we have, and then we're dead to everything else. There's no way we can do anything this turn, right? This, we don't have enough resource to operate this. This only kills the one thing. This, even if it hits the best thing on the table, we still die to everything else. So I guess we're playing this. Even though we're not likely to... Like, I don't think there's anything we can hit that's good with that. This is okay, I guess. This might buy us a turn. Yeah, I feel like this deck could really benefit from some naval operation. Wirtz, sorry, I'm only seeing your message now. This deck has a lot of one-ofs, but it's this is card for card the deck that one of the decks that performed really well over this past weekend. So I've made no changes to it. I can show you. You can type ! deck in the chat to see it, but you can see, yes, the deck is running a lot of one-ofs, a lot of questionable one-ofs in my opinion. Like, I'm not sure why we have this one of Imperial Decree in a deck that's running very few damage dealing orders. You know, like a Singleton Patrol and Awoken Giant. It feels like we're, you know, I feel like you commit to one or the other one of these things. I think while Amphibious Assaults and Outflanks are nice because they're kind of anti-aggro cards, but they're also anti-guard cards, which are important for us to deal our big damage turns. I feel like we need some number of naval operations in here as well, potentially. I'm also not sure we need this many big, heavy, expensive planes. The one of Avenger seems weird. To the Last Man feels fine, I guess. But it's like, yeah, there's like a lot of non-committal in the deck for my taste. Like, I feel like there's a lot of the singletons could become the second or third copies of other cards just to make it more consistent. And in particular, I think the game needs a strong, the deck needs a stronger early game, because it's definitely lacking against the aggressive. But again, this deck was built for a best of 3 tournament. It wasn't built for ladder necessarily. So that's the one thing you have to consider when evaluating this deck's power level. It was built for a different format entirely, essentially. I think I like these. I might want to keep the special delivery. No, I think that's greedy. Imperial Decree with Awoken Giant might actually be fine, because a lot of the German tanks have 3 defense. So I might actually keep that. The rest I think we'll throw back. Hoping to find some guards, which we didn't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. This is, you know, we've played literally what 3-4 matches with this deck, so I'm not particularly sure what matchups, what its favorable matchups are. It's not an archetype I am very familiar with. I think we'll just go ahead and end that. Yeah. This is not likely, the deployment effect's not likely to be more relevant than just dealing a damage to the HQ, so I'd rather just use my resources to get a threat down, start dealing damage. Next turn we can actually play this guard unit to protect it while dealing damage, and I think that's worthwhile. In this case, because that doesn't die, or the guard unit doesn't check that, I think we'll just take it away and attack. Sure. That's annoying. That was a very good turn by our opponent. Sure, I mean, we'll just... Alt Real, thanks for the follow. Thanks for checking out the stream, and I appreciate your support. Okay, so our opponent's on a more mid-range list, which is unfortunate because it looks like they're playing the traditional, or like the deck that was very popular a couple seasons ago, or was it just last season, I guess? No, that was the German Blitz. The German Japan mid-range. So this could be problematic for us. I think we might actually start with this since we have a second one in hand. Getting this thing's health down is good because TORA finishes it off. We can also, we could have, second attack could have also taken out the other guard unit, which would have been nice. guard unit is good, for sure. I think we still just wait on our next move. I guess this isn't getting any better. I'm afraid of what will hit here. So I don't want to do that quite yet. So I think we'll just wait a little bit. The single best thing they could have is Leopold. And okay, that's a replacement burst of fire for us, so that's good. We still need to deal with that pesky guard unit, though. How do we do this? Kind of need like everything in our hand. Feel like we need to spend our resources this turn. Let's just do this to start. We'll wait on these. Good chance he finds another guard unit, though. Guess we can just hope. Another guard unit for us is decent. That's also pretty good. So we can do this, this, and this. Okay. So the question is, can we live for 2 turns so that we can do our thing? Or can we get a land of the free? 6, 79, 10, 11, and land of the free would be lethal. Okay, well, we're getting no draw here. And we got another guard unit, so that's not happening. Do we just kill that? Probably. Take away something of theirs. Pass, and we'll hope to... Oh, sorry, guys. That was my car dealership calling me and letting me know that they had to change my appointment, which is fine. So that's too bad because we had this. So very, very close. We killed, what, 3, 4 of his potential 5 guard units and almost ground him out of that game. Very, very close. I think I'm going to call it early with this deck. It's just, unfortunately... Oh, I'm already in a battle? Okay, I guess we'll play one more. It's a little too inconsistent at what it's trying to do. It's when you can assemble the combo and kill with Burst of Fire, for honor, or honor, and all those things, it's obviously very fun. That's those types of decks have existed since the beginning of the game, pretty much, because they're mostly set 1 cards, but yeah, I think it struggles a little bit too much in the early game against most decks, so it's... it needs work. It needs a little bit of refinement, I think. But again, this deck wasn't necessarily designed with ladder in mind, so... The latter version of this deck might look very different. Do we care about the Nakshub? I don't think so. Or at least I don't think we can afford to care about it, if that makes sense. I think we just gotta get rid of the threats. I think we're just playing Takasagi's the next 2 turns, because he's gonna have to fight through them somehow, some way, somehow, and hopefully they'll start draining him of cards as well. Alright, my kingdom for a Tora. Our opponent decides not to head to the front line for some reason with this. I guess they don't need to. There's no reason to. Kind of risky though. If I had removal for this and then move this up to the front line, that could have been pretty devastating for the German Blitzkrieg plan. So, what? We just keep playing guard units then? Blitzkrieg would be pretty bad. But Blitzkrieg's always gonna be bad. These all get one-shotted by Blitzkrieg anyway, so let's just get this thing in Awoken Giant range, I think is what we want to do. Okay, that's might be indicative of him not having Blitzkrieg, at least not yet. He didn't. Okay. And the con. He just has everything. Okay. Sure. Get rid of you. Play you. I think we'll call it with this deck. We've been playing it for nearly 45 minutes at this point. It's just, it doesn't have a good enough matchup against the German aggro decks to deal with the ladder right now. But our next deck does, so let's